VigilanteWilliamson here with a very complex, high-level calculus, high-level rocket science question that you need to be Oppenheimer to figure out, and that is, who's going to win, Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Bud Crawford? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't freaking know. I would like to lie to you guys. I am going to have a pick at the end of this video. Please like the video if you like the video, by the way. Need those likes to go up. I am going to have a pick at the end, but I don't know. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert. For 3, 4, 5 years, so many channels on this platform have been trying to convince you that one of these guys built the earth in the heavens in 6 days and rested on the 7th, and that the other guy is an Uber Eats driver who doesn't even deserve to have gloves on. And neither is true. Both guys are incredible fighters, but the polarization and the different sides and the garbage from everybody who is a fan of either Errol Spence and therefore has a sworn mortal enemy in Bud Crawford, or vice versa, fan of Bud Crawford and Errol Spence is just trash. And so that it was just two sides constantly nitpicking at each other. I think they kind of killed some of the hype for this fight, because I think some people actually got convinced that their non-favorite fighter wasn't really that good. And when you get all the blame, who's the reason we didn't get this fight, you know, all that, we can go through that all the way. I may touch on some of it throughout this podcast or this video, but all that aside, we're finally here. We're a few days away. I'm recording this on Thursday. Hopefully can drop it still on Thursday. The fight is on Saturday, and you gotta have a pick. Who do you got? Well, before we get into the pick, let's kind of talk about this, right? Both fighters have different strengths and weaknesses and similar strengths. I think they both have quite a bit of power. I think Errol Spence is a little bit known as a little bit more fundamental, almost boring to an extent to some people. Terence Crawford is thought of as a little bit more of an explosive, flashy fighter, even though he's a couple years older. But of course, Errol Spence went through that car crash that was pretty devastating if you saw it, as far as the way the car flipped and how he looked afterwards. But he's recovered. He's had a couple fights since then, even though there's been a long layoff between him fighting Dennis Ugas last year, and then he had that one weird moment that's constantly playing in the back of my head where his mouthpiece fell and Ugas hit him a couple times. He got through it, but it was a weird moment. You wonder, can something like that happen in this fight? Speaking of weird moments, on Bud Crawford's side, I constantly have that Mean Machine fight. Do you guys remember that? I remember watching that live and thinking, you know, Mean Machine was closer to winning than he ever should have been. Now, he had no real chance, but he really got off a nice amount of offense in that fight. I know that was some years ago, but there's been this perception that I've had that Bud takes defense off at times, especially when he is getting aggressive. When he wants to go in for the kill, that's what he's best at, right? Going in for the kill, but at times it feels like he's lax defensively at these times. Granted, you know, when you let your hands go, you got to let your hands go. It's not to say that Errol Spence is the greatest defensive fighter of all time. It just seems like he might be a little bit more defensively responsible consistently. That said, there's been, you know, question marks with him. You know what I'm saying? Not question marks, maybe that's a harsh word, but there's been times, you know, the Mikey Garcia fight, a lot of people thought he should have stopped him. He didn't. Maybe he was trying to quote-unquote box. Maybe he was trying to stop him. I don't know. But that was a fight that a lot of people kind of thought, oh, man, you know, is he really as powerful? Does he really have the power? So, oh, man, it just feels like nitpicking. It feels like whoever I don't pick, I must be nitpicking against. Whoever I pick is going to lose. That's what I actually feel like. I feel like if I pick Terence Crawford and I say Terence Crawford is going to win, Errol Spence is going to win. If I say Errol Spence is going to win, Terence Crawford is. That's what I actually think. And so I told myself, because I've been going back and forth literally for years on who I think will win this fight, I'm just going to make a pick, and I actually have in my head, I haven't told you yet. I'm going to make a pick, and I'm just going to go with it, because there's nothing to be said. These are very evenly matched fighters. All things aside, I know I don't have the most technical breakdown. I know there's going to be a lot of channels that give you film study and everything to break down why their pick is their pick. But I think at the end of the day, these are two evenly matched fighters. You can go back and forth, between certain things. I'm remembering both of their fights with Sean Porter. It's funny. People forget that in the Errol Spence fight, a lot of people thought that Sean Porter might have edged him out at the end of that. And in the Terence Crawford fight, despite everyone talking about, oh man, it was such a great stoppage, a lot of people question the stoppage, and rather Kenny Porter threw in the towel a little early. So it's like, time heals all wounds. People forget that both of those fights had a little bit of question marks at the end, because Sean Porter's a great fighter. So I don't really think I can glean anything from that. I can't glean anything from that, and that's probably their best common opponent. What do I glean from Terence Crawford since he's been at 147? And that's been a few years now. Hasn't been the most difficult group of challengers. And then Mean Machine, as I mentioned, is still in my head, and he wasn't the, world beater of fighters. Man, I'm gonna pick Errol Spence, and I'm gonna pick him because I gotta pick somebody. I keep having the Mean Machine thing play out in my head. I keep having Crawford's sometimes lacks defense play out in my head. Would it shock me if saying this, Crawford hits him with a 50-piece combination to open up the fight and wins? No. But I just got to pick somebody and run with it. I haven't invested months and years in this channel telling you that Terence Crawford ain't shit. So if he wins, it's not like it's skin off my back. Like, oh man, okay, you know what? Terence Crawford's a great fighter. Could have easily picked him. Throughout this time, I did have him picked. And I'm going to report a bias, right? So the David Avanesian fight did kind of break my heart. I was, for the most part, blaming Errol Spence for this fight not happening. Part of it is that other side of the street thing back in the day. I thought, man, that's kind of soft to just say that. It just made no sense to me. Maybe that was old Al Heyman and just getting in Errol's head, but I just like, wow, why would you say that? There was no law that said you had to collect every belt then fight Terence Crawford. You could have fought Terence Crawford anytime. He should have. This should be Terence Crawford, Errol Spence 2 or 3, not 1. But that notwithstanding, I did kind of blame Errol, and even the unfortunate car accident, which Errol is happy to be alive. Rather, Mo 3 was responsible. Rest in peace to him. I don't know, but that car crash was vicious, and that's another thing playing out of my head. That's why I'm not so confident in my pick of Errol. But he looked terrible after the accident. The accident itself looked terrible, but he's come back. He's had a couple fights since then. He did look really good in the Ugas fight outside that one moment with the mouthpiece. Another reason the fights didn't happen, I think, had to do with Showtime themselves, and I don't really think either man can be blamed for that. But I did put some blame on Terence Crawford, so that might be a bias. The David Avanesian thing, and also what happened with those gloves in that fight. Does anybody know? Who knows? That thing did kind of color my pick. It might be coloring my pick. It might be overcast what I actually think. I don't know. I just wanted to report that bias, kind of go through the history of why this fight didn't happen sooner. But it wouldn't shock me if Terence Crawford won. I would be not shocked at all if Terence Crawford won this fight. My pick officially, Errol Spence, stoppage 10th or later. I do think either way this fight is not going on the cards. I think there's going to be a late stoppage. One of those guys are going to stop the other late. I don't know which one for sure. I'm picking Errol Spence, but I am not confident in that pick. And honestly, even if I pick Bud Crawford, I would not be confident in that pick. These are the two best welterweights of the past 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years? No, I think some of that goes to Floyd. Or does it? Sheesh, it's 2023. It's a long time ago. So they're two of the best welterweights of the past 10 years. And I don't know who to pick, and so I'm picking Errol because I got to live with something. But I didn't invest myself telling you Bud ain't shit. We smoking Bud on this side. And even if I pick Bud, I didn't tell you we frying fish on this side. They're both great fighters. They both are highly decorated fighters. They both are probably going to be Hall of Fame fighters. This fight is for pound number 1. Like I said in my New Age video, I'm not confident in this pick. There's probably better technical breakdowns than this. I thank you for watching this as you made it all the way through, but I'm going with Errol Spence, late stoppage 10th or later, probably the 11th, but I could be wrong. What do you think? You tell me who you got, because I don't know, as you've heard for 10-11 minutes of me rambling. If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.